Good evening. Hi, I'm Rihan, and before I begin, I would like to ask you a very simple question. Have you ever felt so tired or stressed that you couldn't concentrate properly? I'm sure most of us have experienced that at some point. And now imagine if this happened to a counselor whose job is to help people through depression, trauma, or anxiety. So that's why today I'll be talking about why self care isn't just about feeling good. It's actually an ethical responsibility in counseling. And today we will look at how looking after ourselves helps the counselors to protect both themselves and their clients. And I'll also explain burnouts, compassion fatigue, and finally share my own self care plan. So, first of all, what exactly is self care? Many people think self care is going out on a holiday or having a spa day, but these things are nice. For counselors, self care is much more than that. It means doing things that keep you physically, emotionally, mentally, and professionally healthy so that you can continue helping others, people effectively. For example, getting enough sleep, exercising regularly, talking to a supervisor, setting healthy boundaries with clients, or simply taking time to reflect after a different counseling session. And think of it just think of it like a charging your phone. If you never recharge it or if you never charge it, eventually the battery will die, right? So the same thing happens to the counselor if they constantly give emotional support without taking care of themselves. Okay, so let's think about what counselors actually do every day. They listen to stories about trauma, family problems, grief, abuse, mental illness, etc., etc., right? And which is emotionally exhausting. And if they don't take care of themselves, they will slowly become overwhelmed. And when that happens, they may be losing patience, becoming emotionally distant, or even make poor decisions. Imagine you are talking to someone about one of your hardest moment in your life, but your counselor looks distracted or doesn't seem to care. You probably wouldn't be, you wouldn't be feeling so nice or feeling understood. So that's why self-care is important. And self-care is not being selfish. It's actually a part of providing quality care to clients. I mean, yeah. So this is where ethics comes in. Ethics are basically the professional rules that all counselors must follow. One important principle is beneficence, which means doing what's best for the client. And another one is non-maleficence, doing mean no harm. If a counselor is burned out or emotionally exhausted, even if they don't mean to, they could accidentally harm a client through poor judgment or ineffective counseling. Professional organizations like ACA and APA remind counselors that maintaining their own well being is a part of an ethical professional. So, taking care of yourself isn't optional, it's actually your part of the job. Now, let's look at something called counselor impairment. This happens when personal problem starts affecting a counselor's ability to do their job properly. Maybe they're dealing with chronic stress, a family crisis, or a mental health issues, or simply working too many hours after the hours, without enough rest. And when this happens, they may uh, miss important information during sessions, become less empathetic, or even cross professional boundaries. For an instance, if a counselor is emotionally drained, they might become impatient with a client and you know impatient with a client who actually needs the support, who actually needs extra support. Let's say I mean, I am being a counselor. Let's say I'm going through something and I'm very exhausted, stressed, empty from the head. But on the other hand, you are my client, and probably you are facing way more worse than me, and it's my job to give you extra support, right? But if I'm drained, I might be impatient with you. I might say something which you won't like. So it won't be, you know, it won't be as nice as it sounds. And yeah, and ethically, counselors should recognize these warning signs early and seek supervision, or even take a break from practice if necessary. Next is burnout. And I'm sure many of us have experienced burnout during exam week. And now imagine feeling like that every single day. And burnout is caused by long term workplace stress, and it doesn't happen usually overnight. It builds up slowly. And counselors may start feeling emotionally exhausted, lose motivation, become cynical, and even question whether they're good at their job anymore. So, burnout doesn't just affect work, it can also affect sleep, relationship, mental health, and overall happiness. Without proper self care, burnout can eventually reduce the quality of counseling the clients receive. So burnout and compassion fatigue sound similar, but they're actually different. Let me tell you how. Burnout usually comes from too much work, and compassion fatigue comes from constantly hearing about others people's pain and stress and trauma, etc., etc. For example, imagine counseling a survivor of daily abuses. Even though these experiences didn't happen to the counselor personally, but hearing these stories repeatedly, every day, and I mean, it can still have a deep emotional impact, right? So over time, counselors may become emotionally numb or find it very difficult to separate work from their life. I mean, personal life. So this is why supervision, peer support, and regular self-care is so important. They help counselors, continue caring without becoming emotionally overwhelmed. Personal organization and consequences. When counselors neglect self-care, everyone is affected. You know how? Number one, for the counselors, it can lead to anxiety, stress, depression, physical illness, poor relationship, and lower life satisfaction. But it doesn't stop there. The organization also suffers. Let me tell you how. There may be more sick leaves, higher staff turnover, reduced quality of service, and most importantly, more and more complaints from the clients. So, investing in counselor well being doesn't only benefit the individual. It also improves the quality of care that clients receive and creates a healthier workplace. So, this is my personal plan which I want to follow once I become the counselor. I hope to become one, inshallah. So, number one, physically, I want to exercise you know, at least twice or 3 times in a week. Eat healthier meals. I'll try to avoid oil and sugar as much as I can, and maintain a regular sleep schedule. Definitely. And emotionally, number two, emotionally, I will stay connected with my friends, journal my thoughts, and seek counseling myself if needed. And number three, psychologically, I plan to practice, mindfulness, reflect on my counseling sessions, and maintain a healthy work-life boundaries. And number four, professionally, I will continue attending training sessions, seek supervision regularly, and ask for feedback from experienced counselors, from my seniors, I meant. I believe self-care is, um, self-care is a must, and it should become a habit rather than, something we can do when we are already exhausted. It should be done from the day one. So we're at the end, and finish my before I finish my speaking, I would like to go back to the first question I asked you all. Can someone who is already been going through or already being emotionally exhausted or emotionally drained, you think they can provide the best care for someone who actually needs? I think no. In most cases, no. And I mean, that's why self-care isn't just, luxury or selfishness. It's an ethical responsibility. It's it's something, I mean, let's say you yourself are a guard, a security guard. If you are not well, if you are not okay, let's say you are a doctor, if you are not well, how could you possibly treat you know treat the ill people? That's what I wanted to mean. If you're a counselor and if you don't take care of your own well-being, maintain professional competence, and most importantly, I mean, if you don't take care of your mental health, you won't be able to take care of your client's mental health, right? So that's it. Before one last thing. Before I finish, I would like to end this uh, presentation with just a quote, which is, to take care effectively for others, counselors must care responsibly for themselves. Thank you, everyone.